see how it. Hopefully, I don't know. I don't know. Again, this is why we'd be getting a new microphone here in the next week or two.
All right. Well, the stream is live.
Ooh.
Give me a little.
Let me go like that puppy. It's like what's that? Pitch meetings. It's like pitch meetings. Let me get off of that thing.
You're still a little faint, but we'll have to make do. But yeah, no. For all the VOD watchers out there, because I'm pretty sure I'm the only person at the stream right now. Welcome back. We are back in this saddle. It's been a week. Because we watched the Game Awards and streamed the Game Awards last week. I actually had something I wanted to say about the Game Awards, though, before we got into the game today.
Really? A week late? Oh, wow.
This isn't like a hot take, or I mean, I guess it's kind of a hot take, but it's not like a super fiery thing. It's just that
Alan Wake 2 should have won?
What?
Alan Wake 2 should have won?
No, actually, quite the opposite. So not hot at all. Mostly agreed upon, I think. But I was curious because I was like, man, I don't know like anything about the Alan Wake series. I saw like some gameplay of it maybe back when the first one came out in like 2010. So I was like, I should watch someone play a little bit of it just to see what it's all about. So I went and watched a VTuber play some of it. Her Kirsha, for anyone in our audience who watches VTubers, which is probably like all 0 of you. It's me. I'm the only one. Yeah, no, I did not care for the game. I did not care for Alan Wake 2. I felt that it was the epitome of millennial writing. So
Very controversial take of you.
I did not like it very much, and it made me be like, man, it really shouldn't have won anything.
Now,
Also, you know that little number they did at the Game Awards?
Alan Wake 2?
Yeah,
number?
that little like interpretive dance thing they did.
Oh yeah.
That wasn't something they came up with. That entire segment is in the game. It's in Alan Wake 2 as a segment that you sit and watch.
It's a Balan Wonderworld, like...
Yeah.
That's what I'm hearing.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, no, yeah, no, I just... that just kind of cemented my opinion more. Now that I've actually seen some of it, I'm more firm in my belief that I don't think it should have gotten much. But also, there are a bunch of people that are like, yeah, it's the greatest narrative ever written. And I'm... What are they on, Chief? I don't...
Oh.
I dropped my cookie.
Now you want to hear a real hot take from the Game Awards is that I can't believe a point-and-click game won so many awards.
Oh, yeah? Yep.
But we aren't here to stoke that flame. I just find that really funny that that's the talking point of criticism people have against Baldur's Gate 3 is like point and click, point and click.
Get over yourself.
But we're not here to talk about the Game Awards anymore. It's done. It's past. It wasn't good. Any of it, really. Much.
Well. But you know what should have won Game of the Year?
Umineko no Naku Koro.
Umineko no Naku Koro ni Rondo of the Witch and Reasoning.
Yeah, yeah.
And we're gonna show you why right now.
But first, can you please share the stream on...
Oh yeah!
I can see it.
Yeah, sorry about that. Yeah. No, you have to watch off the live stream.
Have you ever heard of like a psychologically enforced lobotomy?
What?
I tried to do that to myself for the past 30 minutes or so. Sorry, we're opening up with a bit of a cold open a little bit here. I just got off work, and I only had 4 hours of sleep last night, and I also woke up at 4 a.m. and I've been up since then.
Oh my goodness.
because I couldn't go to sleep. Like my
Mhm.
I tried to go to sleep for another half hour. My body was like, no, you're up. Stay up, buddy. You're up. So I got back from work and I said I need to stay awake. So I turned on I turned I turned on sticking out your yacht for an Rizzler.
That's why you
2 hours
sent that to me.
Well, no, that's not. I was trying. I mean, I had it on the brain at work, and I wanted to do a chain thing where you would do the next line, and then I would do the next line, but you didn't do it. I just kind of sat there with with my balls in my hands, really. But yeah. So I like psychologically enforced a lobotomy on myself a little
Okay.
bit with
Okay.
that. I don't think I can look at Bibu the same anymore.
Mm-hmm. You all right? You gonna be able to make it through today?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
I never even do flippity.
This is gonna be a Balam Wonderland like on its own right.
Yeah.
All right.
Yep.
Well.
Let me think if there's anything else we need to tell the audience.
Well, where were we? I don't even. I mean, I guess if they're coming from the last VOD, they know where we are.
Yeah,
But
if we look at our handy dandy description that I crafted for us so meticulously at 4 a.m. Last thing I recalled is that we were trying to figure out who gave Maria an umbrella, although that had mostly been resolved as like must have been the witch. Last thing I recall is Kinzo ranting again, this time about the roulette. And then it's just that the typhoon's really setting in, and we're at dinner now, so it's like ooh. You know,
okay.
Ooh.
Well,
will the tensions of lunch carry over? Ooh.
it was too late now, but I realized painfully that taste wasn't the only important part of a meal. The whole atmosphere was also critical. Gohda-san, the supposed conductor of this musical piece called Dinner, did his best to enliven the place. Immediate pretentiousness, thanks. Yeah.
Alan Wake-like?
God damn it. Dropping little jokes left and right, but apparently not one of them succeeded. I thought they were very funny. After taking orders for after-dinner coffee, tea, and orange juice, he left for the kitchen.
What an assortment?
As soon as he disappeared, Uncle Kraus spoke.
Oh boy.
My. What a waste that the dinner Gohda worked so hard to create has met with such a gloomy atmosphere.
Yes, absolutely. It just feels like nothing would taste good today.
Oh. I'd like to know why you feel that way. Later on, I'll do all I can as your older brother to help cheer you up.
Aunt Eva grimaced slightly.
I'm grimacing?
I'd already heard she wasn't on good terms with Uncle Kraus, but it was pretty clear now.
Do we know why? What just happened there? What happened there? Actually,
I think that Kraus is just being like really sarcastic. I'm not completely sure. I think he's just like being overbearing because like they know you have to understand the context.
Wait, is it like she was trying to make a backwards compliment or backhanded compliment and he shut her down?
I think.
Because she was like, man, this didn't taste good. And he was like, oh, sorry about that. I'll help you later. And she's like, that's not what I was looking for.
Yeah. When I looked around, I noticed that my father and Aunt Rosa were also grimacing. Apparently, there was something, and also it's probably just the situation earlier is all still in their minds with the money, and that's hot on the brain. Apparently, there was something besides the weather troubling all of them. Both Aunt Eva and my dad aren't looking too happy. Really? I don't think so. I asked Aunt Nazi, who was sitting on my right, but she seemed to be in a bad mood as well. She snapped back as if to say she was absolutely not interested.
Well, our adult conversation got a little complicated. It isn't something kids like you need to worry about, Battler Cone. Isn't that right, Natsui-san? Kyrie-san?
Uncle Hideyoshi laughed as he spoke, but without his usual brightness, so I could vaguely imagine just how complicated their adult conversation had become. On top of that, even at Natsuhi and Kyrie-san, the people he had directed his comment to ignored him as though they hadn't heard anything.
Me too, Hideyoshi.
I didn't know what kind of conversation they'd been having while us kids were away, but it reminded me of how Dad said he had stomach cramps when we arrived at the mansion. The family conference might have been a playful reunion to us kids, but it was definitely different for the adults. After Uncle Hideyoshi's comment was ignored by the other adults, and an awkward silence fell over the room, Kyrie-san spoke up. We were talking about how the kids' careers would turn out, such as what lies in your future, Battler-kun. Will you just drift on to college? Wouldn't that be a little disheartening as a starting line for the long race of life? Hey, wait a sec. Kyrie-san, if you start talking about something like that in the middle of a meal, it won't digest well and we'll all end up getting constipated.
Dang.
That's right. We were talking about Battler-kun's and Jessica-chan's careers. You've got to think seriously about the future.
I think he should be a NASCAR driver.
I think Jessica should be a NASCAR driver.
Whoa. Hot take.
Hideyoshi heartily agreed, as if they really had been talking about that. But that was probably wrong. Kyrie-san had been obviously trying to change the subject. However, if Kyrie-san had determined that this was the best course of action for now, then she was probably right. Taking this into account, I cast aside my suspicions as to the cause behind Aunt Eva and Dad's bad moods. At long last, the serving cart returned, filled with coffee and tea. No one ordered orange juice.
That's so sad. Not even Maria?
Not even Maria.
Disappointed.
They probably sidelined her. They probably didn't let her know that everyone was getting stuff. They would do that.
She'll have the tea. I can see
Yeah.
it. I can see it.
Kumasawa-san and Shannon-chan served it to everyone. Gohda-san then explained that this concluded tonight's meal.
Oh, no long-winded speech and jokes about the tea or coffee?
No, they're just saving us from it.
I hate that guy. Sorry. Hold me back.
If only the mood had been a bit more cheery, it might have been the best dinner in my life. It was a shame this best of dinners, couldn't have been had under the best conditions. Jojo-chan, is dinner over now? Over?
Yes. With this, dinner is finished. Don't be rude. Stay in your seat and calmly drink up.
Maria looked like she was really excited by the occasionally crashing thunder. Maybe she wanted to quickly finish eating and run over to the window. She had been fidgeting for a while, waiting for the meal to end. Some people are afraid of thunder, while others find it interesting, and Maria was apparently of the latter sort. Therefore, when she heard from George Aniki that dinner was over, a huge smile broke across her face. She then rose from her seat, took out her handbag, which she'd set under her seat, never having left it even while she was eating, and began fishing around inside of it. Oh, I remember what happens now. No one seemed particularly concerned by this behavior.
True. Oh, what's that?
Oh, it's doing the thing.
Oh. Where did you get it?
George was the first to notice it. As he spoke, "Oh, I'm not Battler right now?
You're narrator-kun.
As he spoke, no. As he spoke, Battler noticed too. They saw that Maria was now holding a beautiful Western-style envelope.
That reminds me, I gotta go be the music sleuth and get the to try and figure out what's what.
music liaison, but something that starts with M so that it alliterates. Music,
Man. Help Wanted 2 came out today. FNAF, 5 Nights at Freddy's, Help Wanted 2. I'm Music Man. Anyway.
On the front of the envelope, the Ushiromiya family crest, the one-winged eagle, was done in gold leaf. Furthermore, the fact that it was sealed with dark red wax made it clear that it wasn't something Maria could have brought as a prank. I think you underestimate the ability of children, but okay. Maria-chan, what is that? It seemed that Natsuhi had also noticed the strangeness of the envelope Maria was holding. Oops, I somehow went to the menu.
Weird.
Her voice sounded too serious for someone admonishing a small child, so the relatives around us finally noticed too.
Uh-oh. What happened, Natsuhi-san? What is that? Maria, where did you pick that up?
That envelope has Kenzo-san's.
Oh, Kenzo's seal.
When Nanjo muttered that, oh, now I'm Battler again.
Yep.
Even us kids could understand why everyone seemed to be frozen solid. The envelope that Maria held out was one of the Ushiromiya family head's custom-made envelopes for private use. In other words, it could only mean one thing. Right now, more than anything else. No.
Anything else? Oh.
This envelope contained a message from Kinzo.
Ho. What is an envelope like that doing here?
Now that's an interesting thing to come jumping out at us.
Just let me have a peek.
No way! I'll read it! I was told to read it to everyone!
Yeah.
Uncle Hideyoshi tried to snatch the envelope out from Maria's hands, but she protected it as though hugging it, and didn't let go.
Good, Maria.
Hideyoshi-san, you can't use force against a child.
Watch me.
Watch me!
Maria-chan, where did you get this envelope? Oh, I got it from Beatrice when she gave me the umbrella. She told me to read it to everyone after the meal was over. I'm the witch's messenger. Oh.
Syntax real quick there, because I don't know how much it's come up yet. I'm sure. Are you familiar with the use of the carrots in this?
Is that saying that it's in English?
Yes.
Okay.
So, yeah, typically all this would be in Japanese, and then the carrots
Yep.
indicate it's being said in English. That's why she struggled just then.
Me reading all of the carrots in Japanese? No.
I don't even know that one. But
Messenger? The almighty witch of the island sure likes to mess around.
get it?
I hope you break your toe.
That was directed at Battler, not you.
I took it either way. I've already broken one toe, so
Battler tried to joke about it, but no one laughed.
that's really funny to me. Just moving on. I wonder what's written inside of it. Maria-chan?
Ooh, gonna read it. Ooh. Maria casually opened the envelope. It was sealed only with wax, so she just had to remove the sealing wax to open it. Wow, what a... Thanks.
True, real.
That sealing wax fell onto the desk. Hideyoshi hastily picked it up and stared fixedly at it.
Why are you being such a weirdo, Hideyoshi?
Then he set it in the center of the table, where Natsuhi, Kirie, and Nanjo stared at it. Imprinted in the sealing wax was the one-winged eagle, which was the Ushiromiya family crest, and also Kenzo's personal crest. This is the family head's personal crest.
I know it from the letters I have received from Kinzo-san before. Without a doubt, this is his wax seal.
But aren't there several things in this mansion bearing that crest? For example, if there was some kind of stamp for wax seals, couldn't someone other than Kenzo-san have used it?
No. Kenzo-san would always use a ring on his finger, his proof of the Ushiromiya family headship, when he sealed the wax. This shape and complex design is definitely Kenzo-san's seal.
So I'm gonna let this finish. I'm gonna let this whole bit finish, but we're already getting into another one of the first big mysteries, and I'm gonna ask you what you think about it when we wrap up.
Okay.
That is not necessarily so. Anyone in the family must have received a letter from father at least once. We can't eliminate the possibility that someone used that wax as a model to create a fake seal and pass themselves off as father.
I agree with Haniki. No matter how much the seal resembles Dad's, we can't prove that it's the real thing. So it doesn't prove this envelope came from him. I absolutely agree. I cannot approve of arbitrarily deciding that this letter came from Father, based solely on the wax seal. Dr. Nanjo, couldn't you use a bit more discretion with your vague words?
I apologize. It was not my place to speak.
One after another, all of the siblings from Kraus on downwards rejected Nanjo's statement, saying that the envelope Maria held wasn't necessarily from Kenzo. They were afraid.
That's a really funny line.
They feared from the bottom of their hearts that Kenzo's intentions were written in there, and that it might be some announcement regarding the inheritance that would be decidedly unfavorable to them.
Maria, the person who gave you that envelope was the same person who lent you that umbrella, right?
It was just Kenzo in a wig. Ooh!
I don't know what ooh means. Is it true?
Yes.
So, in other words, the witch, Beatrice, gave Maria-chan that envelope along with the umbrella?
Ooh! Maria nodded forcefully. I agree with my husband. It's a dubious letter handed over by some suspicious person. It isn't even worth reading. There's nothing wrong with just reading it, right? Badler sent it to Jessica, in a small voice, trying to act tough, but Natsuki heard him clearly and glared at him with threatening eyes.
Apparently, they're sitting right next to each other. Why would you try to get that past her so she doesn't hear it? Dummy.
Both Badler and Jessica. They are the two dummy cousins, it seems. And then, no.
Yeah.
Beatrice told you to read it after the meal was over, right, Maria? Oh. It's okay, everyone. This envelope didn't come from Grandfather, but from Beatrice. Regardless of who actually wrote it, why can't we just hear what's inside before we decide?
They really be out here like they got a list from Santa, and they're being like, well, it couldn't possibly have been from Santa.
That's right. Even if Father didn't necessarily write it, I'd still like to know what's written inside. Maria-chan, I'm sorry I tried to take it from you by force earlier. I apologize. So will you read it aloud in front of everyone?
Maria, read it.
As all the relatives stared fiercely at Maria, she spread the letter open with a rustle.
Do you think it really did come from Dad?
Impossible. Whenever Father has announced something to us in the past, he would always send Genji if he didn't do it directly, correct? I cannot believe that he would use such a joke-like approach.
That's right. Maria, a messenger.
Good.
That definitely doesn't suit Father's taste. Yeah, thank you. Rosa, could this be Maria-chan trying to surprise us by putting on some kind of show? Maria isn't really a kid who'd be capable of something so thoughtful.
My kid's a dumbass.
I did that to her. I beat it to her.
Gonna read it. The words came out of Maria's mouth, but for some reason... Oh, wait. Okay, wait. I've been looking forward to this.
Gotta go Dark Maria mode.
Yeah.
Gonna read it.
Yeah.
The words came out of Maria's mouth, but for some reason, her voice seemed different than usual. Everyone went suddenly silent.
Welcome to Rokkenjima, members of the Ushiromiya family. I am Beatrice, the alchemist for this family employed by Kinzo-sama himself.
That's crazy.
Quiet.
I have served him for many years in accordance with our contract, but on this day, Kinzo-sama has announced the final suspension of that contract. Therefore, I ask that you acknowledge my resignation from the position of family alchemist from this day forth.
How foolish. What nonsense.
I can't stand to listen to it. And now, there is one part of the contract that must be explained to all present. I, Beatrice, lent Kenzo-sama a vast quantity of gold under certain terms. One of these terms specifies that all the gold is to be returned to me upon the termination of the contract. Furthermore, I am to receive everything of the Ushiromiya family as interest.
Ridiculous.
It's been ridiculous from the very beginning.
So, it's basically one of those things, right?
Battler is me pilled right there.
You know, it's one of those.
Just the thing, yeah.
Doesn't it sound just like one of those contracts with the devil? The contract has expired, so they've come to collect the interest. Is she trying to grab some retirement money for her old age or something?
Dang.
What a cheeky witch!
He roasted her before she's even here. Battler-kun, now is not the time to joke around.
Battler made a face as if to ask, if I can't make fun of this, what can I make fun of?
Dang, he was Clinton-pilled before he was in office.
Some of the adults' faces were pale, while others looked dazed.
After hearing this, you may feel as though Kenzo-sama has been savagely ruthless. However, Kenzo-sama did append a special clause to the contract so that you would have a chance to preserve your wealth and honor. If and only if that special clause is fulfilled, I will lose my rights to the gold and the interest for all eternity.
A special clause? What is it?
Special clause. Beatrice retains the right to collect the gold and accumulated interest upon the termination of the contract. However, if someone is able to discover the hidden gold of this contract, Beatrice must abandon these rights for all time. The collection of the interest will proceed shortly, but if any one of you fulfills the terms of this special clause, I shall return everything, including the portion that has already been collected. Furthermore, as the first step in this collection of Kinzo-sama's debt, I have taken possession of the Ushiromiya family's head's ring, which signifies the passage of the Ushiromiya family headship from one individual to another. I ask that you confirm this for yourselves by examining the imprint on the wax seal.
Are they trying to claim that that's the meaning behind this seal? That father would relinquish his ring is unthinkable!
Kraus stared at the sealing wax as if trying to burn a hole through it. Eva and Rudolph were doing the same over his shoulder.
Come to think of it, when we were playing chess, I did have a strange feeling that something was missing from Kinzo-san's finger.
Dang.
Dr. Nanjo! Don't say something so careless just because of a vague memory. We can't prove its authenticity here. Only by asking Father directly can we determine whether he really handed over his ring and whether this letter tells the truth.
That's right. It's just as Kiryu-san says.
Do you really think Kinzo-san will tell you? After all, that person's thoughts sometimes surpass the bounds of common sense. No matter what happens, it's still nonsense. In the first place, the illusion of gold itself is one of Father's tricks. I've already heard enough talk of that gold from the rest of you.
Quick interlude. I found out the name of this theme that's playing right now is called Fishy Aroma.
Cause of the mackerel!
Yeah, mackerel. It all comes back to mackerel.
Mackerel pilled.
But this is the witch speaking, right? About how the inheritance and all the assets will be handed over to the one who finds the gold, right? So maybe Beatrice-sama is Father's legal advisor or in charge of his funds. She is reaching.
But we can't possibly trust some strange person who entrusts such a suspicious paper to a child.
Aniki, we need you to be frank with us. Meow. Is it possible Dad's assets are being managed by someone you don't know?
I cannot be frank. I am Nissan.
True. Meow.
No, that's impossible. As the family head's representative, I control all of Father's assets. It should be impossible for anyone to do as they please with them without... Oh.
True.
I got the flow wrong. It should be impossible for anyone to do as they please with them without me knowing it.
So this must mean there are some assets you don't control, right, Krasny-san?
How foolish! Such assets could not possibly exist!
He's getting mad. Oh, she likes when people get mad. Oh, but there is such a thing. An asset of Father's that you don't control.
There is no way such a thing could exist.
No, it does. It's Father's... no, Beatrice's hidden gold.
This is going so ridiculous, it's hard for me to keep a dang straight. Let's keep it simple. In short, Dad had some trusted confidants that Aniki doesn't even know about. Furthermore, this person has always been in charge of watching and managing the gold. Or it could be some eccentric rich person who offered him a loan with rules like a devil's contract.
Could it be that this confidant called Beatrice is trying to test which of Kinzo's children is most worthy to be financed by her gold?
Yep, I think so.
Kiryu's question was one that all the siblings wanted answered. Upon reflection, they realized that Kinzo's strange epitaph had hung in the hall beneath the witch's portrait for quite some time. And while it had long been whispered that whoever solved the puzzle would receive everything, no one had ever clearly stated it. It was just something that everyone had hoped might be true. And right here, right now, the thing they'd hoped for had been clearly stated in Beatrice's letter. It clearly specified that everything of the Ushiromiya family would be given to the one who found the gold.
Moving right now to Fishy Aroma.
Kinzo-sama has already publicly displayed the location of the hidden gold within the epitaph under my portrait. The rules apply equally to all who can read the epitaph. If you discover the gold, I shall return everything to you. Tonight, I ask that you enjoy your battle of wits with Kinzo-sama to the fullest. I sincerely pray that this night will be both intellectual and elegant. Beatrice the Golden. Woo!
True, Utek.
Father, I know you can hear me. Please, respond.
The door to Kinzo's study was being violently, harshly beaten against over and over again like a percussion instrument. The yells coming from the other side belonged to Kraus, Rudolph, and sometimes Eva. It was the siblings who were trying to intrude upon Kinzo's study to question him about the truth behind that mysterious letter. Kinzo was eating. An elegant tablecloth was set over the desk, and the fabulous dinner that had adorned the table down in the dining hall was reproduced here. Kinzo continued his meal in silence. Shannon, taking away an empty plate, looked uncomfortably between the door being pounded on and Kinzo's face.
Calling for you, but what should I do?
Shannon is barely audible.
Woohoo! Just like real life. Okay. Leave it. God and my meal both hold silence as a virtue. That's
Damn.
an amazing line.
That goes hard, Kinzo.
That goes so hard. Yo, I'm making a twitter.com. I can't.
Should I silence them?
There's no need. It does not even reach my ears.
Kinzo enjoyed his food, apparently indifferent. Genji quietly lowered his head and took a single step back. As he did, Kenon, who stood in reserve like a shadow behind and to the side of Genji, opened his mouth.
Maria-san apparently received a letter from Beatrice-san, so I imagine I want to test its authenticity. Has she started already then? Come, Beatrice. I have no shortage of coins to be wagered. Shall
Oh. Hello?
I'm here.
I heard shall and then nothing more.
Dang. I'll reline it. I'll reline it for you. Sure, okay. Shall we enjoy this night to the fullest? I don't think I'll lose. Your smile will be mine for all eternity. If I could see it one more time, I wouldn't regret losing my wealth, my honor, or even my life. And that's correct. Well then, the roulette has begun to spin. Which pocket will the ball fall into? Noir, Rouge, or House takes all? Come, you may begin, Beatrice. I'll show you the power of miracles once more.
Are we gonna get up? Yep. Clickety, clickety, clockety.
Tick, tick, tick. Oh, we're going a few hours here. 10 o'clock at night. You know what that means? We may get to tomorrow morning if we're lucky. Yeah.
Tomorrow morning?
Yeah.
Ushiromi Kenzo? The strange letter that the witch had entrusted to Maria wiped all memories of dinner from our minds. Maria was repeatedly barraged with questions by Aunt Rosa and the other parents. Do you want to take this moment to break it down?
Oh, I just finished taking a drink. Break what down?
Because you said earlier you wanted to ask me once everything had passed in the scene.
Yeah. So as far as I know, I can't recall for certain if we get more deets about that letter later or not in regards to how Maria wound up with it. But what is your take on that so far? What is your understanding of that whole incident with the letter?
I mean, for me, I see also the first time I played it, but as well as now, I have just been taking everything, not everything, but everything concerning information regarding the witch as literal. Because when I first played it through, I was like, man, these people are all so pretentious. I really hope that, like, the witch is just real, because that would just ruin everything for them. So I was like, I'm just banking off the idea that, yes, Beatrice really did send this letter. She gave it to Maria. I don't know. She teleported in because she has magic or something. Gave it to Maria and said, go, take this to them. Read it to them.
Small child committed crime. Gotcha.
I haven't... Obviously, I've only played, like, probably the first sixth of Chapter 2. So I've played to the end of Chapter 1 and a little bit of Chapter 2. So I don't know everything. But I have some context. And that context leads me to continue down that line of thought that, yeah, the witch just gave Maria the letter. And all of their other little shenanigans they're doing, for me, I'm just seeing that as them trying to weasel out of it in some way, because they all have their own personal bias and they want the money for themselves. So they're just trying to come up with roundabout things that are like, well, maybe it was actually this, because that's better for me.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, let's say devil's advocate mode. Let's say, like, you're a sibling, right? It can't be the witch.
True.
What do you got? What do you got to refute the witch's existence here? That's the fun part of the game for me. Can you find a way?
I would probably say that, I know I've been jokingly saying it, but my line of thought would probably be, we're all in the dining room. We've all been here for...
We do have a chat from an Amber in chat. You can
Amber
buy this
Zhao.
on Steam.
Yeah, you can buy both the questions arc and answers arc, which the question arcs is the first 4 chapters and the answers arcs is the last 4 chapters of the game. Yeah, and they're available on Steam.
How expensive they are.
I think they're like, well, let me minimize this just to see if it.
I'm checking right now. It's
okay.
25 for questions, 30 for answers. So all in all, run you 55.
Yep.
For all 8 chapters, which is going to be several hundreds of hours.
Yeah, it's a very, very low. This is pretty much you're buying a book, and there are decent amount of books which cost about that much money. So I'd say it's reasonable.
And every now and again you'll get it on Steam, especially if there's like a visual novel based Steam sale going on.
Whenever they have some of their sales, you have a chance to find it on sale. But if you can bear our lovely voices, you don't need to buy it, because we intend to do the entire series.
True, there will be no difference between this and that, except for us reading.
Yeah, this visual novel, unlike other visual novels, this one doesn't have choices in it. It's just a story. So.
Yep. There is a single choice at the end of Chapter 8.
The very last one.
Yep.
All right, but where were we?
Discussing Devil's Advocate mode.
That's right.
What was
yeah, I would be saying we were in the dining room. You know, the servants are going back and forth between the kitchen. Mm-hmm. If I'm understanding the layout of the house, how I'm thinking I am visually understanding the layout of the house, no one can see the front door from any of those places, right? They could be. Go on.
I was just going to say, it's not likely.
Yeah.
There's not a confirmed layout of the house.
Yeah.
You have to try and piece it together from phrases, but from what most people understand is that the servant stuff in the kitchen's in the back,
mm-hmm.
and then the dining room's on the right side.
Yeah.
And then the entrance is on the bottom or the front. So ideally, no one's gonna see because it's all hallways in between. So.
Funnily enough, although this is kind of contextual for our D&D campaign, the way you laid out the house was like almost exactly how I was envisioning it in my head before we played it.
I looked up a thing that was like, this is what we figured out is what it looks like, and I just made the map based off of that.
Mm-hmm.
And it even said, it was like, this is not 100% accurate. There are a few rooms that are unaccounted for that were never mentioned where they are. We just kind of fill them in. But it's mostly guest rooms that aren't really explained where they are. Even here tonight, they go like, well, we'll have to put everybody up in the main house tonight instead of at the guest house.
Yep.
And it's like, where are those?
So, my line of thought would be, we're all busy over here, you know? Yep. Unless like one of the servants is slacking off, which, considering this is the Ushiromiya household, they probably wouldn't, because otherwise they'd get, like, beat.
Yeah.
I would probably just say, Father, Kenzo, left his study, went downstairs, he gave Maria the umbrella and the letter, and was just like, oh, Maria, this will be a fun little game that we're gonna play, right? Because Maria is a little kid, and so he was indulging her, and he was like, Beatrice told me to give this to you, and blah, 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 blah. Go say these things to everyone. And then he went back up to his study, and then so on and so forth happened.
Okay.
That would be my most logical argument, I think, that I could make. Not doing the loopholes of, maybe Beatrice is real, but she's not a witch. She is perhaps a legal advisor for father, or she is so on and so forth.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I think that'll be the fun conversation part of this game that we'll continue to do. So, moving forward, when we get to a little mystery of how done it,
Devil's advocate,
do it, we're gonna go the devil's advocate road and be like, okay, so like you and me, we're on the same page of like the witch simply exists. But
yeah, okay.
But we'll go devil's advocate and be like, okay, if she didn't, how would a common person?
We have to battler mode it.
Yes, we're gonna do that for like everything.
No, I don't want to be battler.
Especially well, no, I won't say anymore.
Okay.
But proceed. We can.
All right. Maria was repeatedly barraged with questions by Aunt Rosa and the other parents, and became increasingly ill-tempered when they refused to believe her. Yeah. If we kids tried to butt in, they'd probably ignore us. Yeah. Or, knowing Rosa's streak, beat us. No. Our parents were all stirred up, firing back and forth about the gold and the distribution of the assets, and completely forgetting that we were even there. I'd already guessed they'd been talking like this in the shadows, but I hadn't thought they'd be so blunt. It gave all of us kids a considerable shock.
I appreciate that they're sparing us from having like
Yeah.
the same conversation from lunch a second time.
From what we could overhear, all the parents wanted more money as soon as possible, more than anything, right now.
Right now.
Back and forth about grandfather's inheritance. Back and forth about the distribution of the gold if it was found. About advance payments and cash. It was so despicable, I could hardly bear to watch, even though one of them was my father. It looked like Jessica felt the same way. We left our seats without being asked, and went to hang out somewhere well away from our parents. I get it. Now I totally see why grandfather hates coming down for meals. I'm so disillusioned with our parents right now. All that about money and the inheritance? How can they act like that right out in the open? Well, I'm already completely disillusioned with my old bastard. There's no way I could think any worse of him.
True, Sam.
That's exactly the same for me. Still, that freaking shocked me. Shocked me to the core. Jessica looked down at the floor, irritated. She was always talking about how bad her parents were, but maybe she hadn't really felt that way deep inside. The depths of Jessica's shock made that clear.
I don't know. I read.
You're all mentally ill and minors.
It kind of got me. It's the 4 hours of sleep. Okay. You're all minors being supported by your parents, so you might not understand. But getting money is neither a simple nor a pretty thing. I won't try to force you to understand right now, since you're still kids.
It's pretty simple for me. I just do my work and then they give me a paycheck.
But even so, I want you to realize that your parents are just doing their best in their own way.
Oh, great.
George Eniki's gotten all mature. George Nissan, I know you're working hard as a full-fledged member of society, but does that mean you turn into a shameless, greedy vulture like our parents whenever you start talking about money and assets?
Mm-hmm. If it were only for my own benefit, then no, I wouldn't want to do that. However, when your family and your employees, your subordinates and their families are all counting on you, there are some times when you must fight.
I hate that kind of fight. That back and forth about grandfather's inheritance just makes me want to puke.
The battles of the 21st century are held not on the beaches, not in the fields, but in the wagey cages.
Jessica pretended to spit violently. Jessica, leader of the proletariat?
True.
That harsh reaction made the depths of her pain very clear.
Let's stop talking about this. All this about grandfather's hidden gold, property, and inheritance is our parents' problem, not ours. Not for another, 40 years at least.
True. I agree. At the very least, I think children have a duty to be considerate and stay out of their parents' way when they're talking together.
How old do you think all the parents are?
At least 80.
Because they're animate up, so they're a little bit. They probably look a little bit better than real people would actually look for their age.
Well, let's think. How old was George again? Because he's the oldest.
George is 23.
20. Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
And his parents are Ava and Hideyoshi, so we know that they would have had to have been at the very, very least 18. But I doubt it was that early. It probably was 21 or.
Well, it might have been because Eva was trying to.
She was in a rush.
She was trying to circumvent Natsuhi and Kraus.
So if we assume it's at the very quickest, then it would have been. They'd be currently. What is that? Roughly
18 plus 23. If they immediately had George.
Yeah, 41 to 42.
Okay, early 40s.
Rapid?
So if we want to be probably more lenient, we could say mid 40s.
Yeah.
And then all of the other parents are probably early 40s, except for Rosa's probably late 30s then. Okay. I don't know why I asked that question. I was just curious thinking about it.
Sounds pretty boring.
Everyone knows the phrase, adults are filthy. I've never said that once in my life. But we have now seen that for ourselves, and that really did give us a considerable shock. What is with 1980s Japan and all of their strange phrases that probably never existed?
I don't know. They're crazy. Also, I did find one thing. We canonically know that Natsuhi is 47.
Ah, okay. Okay, so actually kind of late 40s. Well, she is that is the oldest couple, though.
Rosa is speculated to be born around 1953, so that sets her at 34.
30s. Yep.
That's
Okay. Yeah, so we were generally right. We were generally correct. Yeah. Good guesswork on our part.
Woohoo.
George Aniki was now pretty much an adult, and I'd already been disillusioned with my dad, so the shock wasn't that big for us. But Jessica seemed to be taking it hard. Apparently, she'd received a bigger blow than I thought. She always talks badly about her parents, but it looks like she hadn't changed at all on the inside. Even now, she's still a pure-hearted, delicate person who can't doubt others.
Wow.
I'm sure she respected her parents as much as anyone else does.
I don't respect her parents very much.
And then her parents started raging about, going, money, money, inheritance, inheritance, my money.
True, good impression.
Right in front of all the other parents and the children. It's no surprise she received such a shock from hearing that.
Jessica-chan, please don't start hating your mother and father. I won't ask you to understand them, but at least don't hate them. Why is George being paid by Big Kraus?
Big Kraus.
Or Big Nazi.
Big Nazi. I get it. Just leave me alone for a bit. 6 years ago, I would have kept taunting Jessica even after she got all ejected. But I guess I really have grown over the last 6 years.
Your parents are fighting about money. What?
I realized it'd be better to leave Jessica alone right now. Man, you've grown so much, Paddler. You have common sense now.
I'm so proud of me.
Jessica suddenly looked away sulkily and left the parlor. Yeah, that's a word.
Is that the new Team Cherry game?
Still no Silk Song.
Still go sulkily.
She probably wanted to be left alone for... Man, I wonder if she wanted to be left alone for a while. Man, it's almost like she said, leave me alone for a while.
He's learning.
I could do nothing but wordlessly watch her back as she left.
Come to think of it, I wonder where Maria-chan went. Good transition? Good segue?
She's probably pouting in front of the portrait. Maria truly looked up to witches, and she'd expected that coming in direct contact with Beatrice and receiving the letter as proof would surprise everyone and make them happy. However, the adults had doubted its authenticity, thoroughly bombarding Maria with questions and refusing to accept her story. Even for me, it wasn't hard to imagine how much that must have hurt Maria. We couldn't speak to Maria or Jessica. In the end, George Eniki and I just abandoned ourselves to the sound of the falling rain in the dark night.
I wonder what's happening with that typhoon. Maybe there's something about it on the news.
George Eniki started walking over to the corner of the parlor where the television was.
Am I mentally ill, or are you hearing like a ticking of a grandfather clock as well?
Yes.
Okay. All right. I thought I was actually becoming schizophrenic.
I had to focus for a minute, but no, it was definitely there.
Okay. Whew.
It's just it's kind of hard to make out because there's also the rain ambiance as well.
Yeah.
He hadn't called me over, and I really couldn't have cared less where the typhoon was on the sea now. So, without going over to the television, I loitered around the window. The wind hasn't picked up that much here, but I wonder if it's horrible over the sea. I did hear about a severe storm warning on the weather report. Ah, Kyrie-san. I take it those big talks between the adults are going smoothly, yeah? She seemed to catch the sarcasm. Kyrie-san shrugged. I wonder if that stomachache of a discussion will continue all night. It's not going to be fun.
All night? Try all weekend.
At least until tomorrow morning.
Mm-hmm.
Well then. Oh wait, that's him. Well then, please enjoy playing vultures to grandfather's property as much as you'd like. I feel sick.
Yeah.
I'll agree with you on that. If I could just slip away like you, I'd do it. Unfortunately, I married your father. Unfortunately, I can't.
Just be Nazi pilled and say, "Oh, my headache. Oh, bye, I'm gonna sleep."
She's actually just faking it.
I would. Oh my gosh.
Even if I'm not allowed to speak. What if she started like that, but now has placeboed herself into having migraines all the time?
A little bit deserved, but also not really deserved because I understand what she was getting away from.
We spouses have it pretty rough too. Kyrie-san took a deep breath, smiling bitterly. That's right. They probably wouldn't let Kyrie-san speak, since she only married into the family. Still, as Dad's partner, she's had no choice but to stay by his side and support him.
Not even really supporting him. What is she doing? Like physically supporting him, like a beam?
Her presence is reassuring. She's like a paladin. She has an aura.
I bet. An aura for him.
It would be an aura for me. Anyways, she's probably had to bear the full brunt of this mental pressure much more than me. I wasn't going to apologize, but realizing that I'd spoken too harshly, I cut the sarcasm for the time being. So how does it look? Are they still stuck on the topic of the mysterious witch, Beatrice? More or less. Those 4 siblings are always piling up secret agreements when they come together to discuss the division of grandfather's inheritance. They're saying that some unknown 5th person has appeared and is trying to make things even more complicated, and there's no way that'll make for a peaceful conversation. Just when you think they're snarling at each other, they'll set up a common front. Natsuhine-san's not the only one getting headaches. Yeah, there it is! On the one hand, they all want a larger portion than the other siblings, so they're all rivals. But on the other hand, they don't want 1 yen to be snatched up by anyone other than the siblings, so they're also all allies. I hadn't been told the details, but the siblings were apparently discussing how to protect their shares under various situations, setting up ceasefire agreements and rules to prevent anyone from getting an unfair advantage, even preparing to resort to legal action if absolutely necessary. That they would go this far to preserve their shares was so beyond disgusting that you just had to acknowledge their resilience.
They're like cockroaches.
So basically, Beatrice is like an assassin sent by grandfather.
What?
He probably wanted to scare the hell out of his children for talking about the inheritance without him. So instead of showing up himself, he did this.
It's not... Assassins aren't meant to scare people, really. Not usually.
He's dumb. He doesn't know how the world works.
That's true. Get off my back about his intelligence. Get off of that thing.
Who is this Beatrice, I wonder? If everything she claims is true, then she's a mystery figure that no one knew about until today, and she also knows about grandfather's hidden gold. On top of that, she was even entrusted with the head's ring. Oh, I'm yawning.
Me too.
She must have truly been trusted by him. Well, obviously, I don't think she's a witch riding around on a broom. But there's no doubt she's a mysterious person who's earned the right to be called a witch.
Huh?
She's not a witch, but she is.
True.
If only Maria-chan would go into more detail about that. Everyone's been smothering her, even though she's just a little girl. They really scared her, and some things they might have asked now can't be asked. I wonder if those people have ever even read The North Wind and the Sun.
What?
I'm assuming it's some kind of popular novel from the 80s, I don't know.
I'm finding out. Oh, book by Aesop.
Oh, yeah, that'll do it.
What is it? One of Aesop's fables.
Probably has some kind of messaging about, like, how to raise children or something. Oh, wait, that's Battler. What we do know is that Maria received a letter from a person who took the name Beatrice. She sure is shy for a mystery person, entrusting Maria with a letter and hiding away even now, when she could have just appeared and talked to us directly. Ha 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 ha. Hey, Battler-kun, do you really think a person called Beatrice actually exists? Who knows? Doesn't it really seem like a false name? Like she's grandfather's representative, so she was given permission to take the name of the witch from his delusions. No, that's not what I meant. Right now, there's a total of 18 people here on Rokkenjima. Do you think there's a 19th person? Are there really a full 18 people on this island right now?
Ooh, here we go. Pause. I found out the thing about the North Wind and the Sun.
Okay.
The moral is that force fails.
Oh, okay.
Gentleness and kind persuasion win. It's about a guy that's walking somewhere and he meets the North Wind, which makes him put on a jacket basically. And he's like, man, it's cold, so I have to keep tightening this dang jacket. And then the sun shows up, and he's like, oh, good, it's hot out. And then the sun gets hotter and hotter. He's like, I gotta take off my dang jacket. And then eventually he finds a tree with shade.
Ah.
Aesop moment.
Thank you, Aesop.
You know?
Are there really a full 18 people on this island right now? Wondering about that, I began counting on my fingers, and it really did come out to that many. Do I think that a 19th person exists? What exactly do you mean? Just what I said. The person who lent Maria that umbrella supposedly wasn't one of us 18. So isn't it natural to assume that a 19th person exists, and that this person lent Maria the umbrella? Well, yeah, it sure looks that way. Then where exactly is this person now?
What'd you say?
I like her finger pointing her sprite right there. Look at that.
Oh.
I wish she would point at me.
Yeah.
At the very least, she must have been on the island when it started raining. And ever since that time, the weather has grown progressively worse, so taking a boat out would be pretty much impossible. Isn't Kyrie a detective?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that makes sense that she's the one having this conversation with him.
Yeah.
In that case, that person must still be on the island, hiding from the rain somewhere. And without any of us spotting her. True, we've all been randomly prowling around all over the mansion and the guest house, but no one has bumped into a 19th person. But this island is huge.
I'm yawning again?
There might be other places to take shelter from the rain, other than the mansion and the guest house.
Tree.
At about this time, I began to realize what direction Kyrie-san's suspicions were taking us in. Kyrie-san was denying that a 19th person existed. Beatrice was one of us 18. In other words, she thought someone we knew well was tricking us.
18 little Lucy Romeos? Or Agatha Christie?
Kill John Lennon. If Beatrice is who she claims, she would surely be the most honored of guests. The most honored of confidants, trusted by Grandfather. There's no way Grandfather wouldn't give that kind of person a warm reception. She would surely have been ushered into the mansion. However, we haven't seen anyone like that. Wait a sec. Isn't this line of reasoning a bit too hasty? Sure, no one has spotted this person, but that doesn't mean that you can't deny the possibility that a 19th person exists, right? Maybe for some reason they landed on the island stealthily and might have been hiding ever since. It's what they call a devil's proof.
Here we go.
It's easy to prove that something exists. If this Beatrice appears in front of us all and says hi, then it's settled. But it's impossible to prove that there's no 19th person. Yes. Badler-kun, your way of reasoning isn't bad. In our current situation, there isn't enough information to either accept or deny that a 19th person exists. But if you spin the chessboard around and think that way, we can't deny the existence of a 19th person with near certainty. Or we can. We can deny the existence of a 19th person with near certainty. Spin the chessboard around was one of Kyrie-san's favorite phrases. I've been influenced by those words and use them myself from time to time. Is there any narrative significance to the fact that his mom is dead besides it just making him have a falling out with his dad?
A little bit, kind of.
Okay. I was just sitting here thinking about it, and I was like, why couldn't Kyrie just be his mom? But I don't have all the context.
There is a reason that pretty much she could have, but I think it works best.
Does it work better? Okay.
Yeah. You'll find out about in like episode 6 or 7 or so.
See you guys next year.
Yeah, if we're lucky.
When you get stuck trying to find out a move in chess or shogi, then by spinning around the board and looking at everything from your opponent's standpoint, you can often see a strategy that'll give you the upper hand. It means turning things around and putting yourself in your opponent's shoes.
Yeah.
You see, let's say that a 19th person called Beatrice actually exists. That person must have managed, without being seen by anyone, to stealthily arrive on this island and remain hidden ever since. Maybe they had some reason, okay? In that case, why did they go to all of the trouble of appearing before Maria and handing her the letter? It really was a contradiction. If they had some reason for hiding themselves, then they should have stayed hidden the whole time.
But what if their whole reason for appearing before Maria is because they knew you all would be like, well, it can't be true because she's an unreliable person because she's a little kid. So they deliberately chose to pick Maria to appear in front of, stupid head.
Precisely. But even so, they appeared openly in front of Maria. Then, wait. Maria said it herself. She said the witch made her a messenger. Maybe that's because Maria was the youngest and looked the most obedient. Why would they need a messenger? If they just wanted a letter delivered to the family conference, they could have mailed it. If they mailed it to each of the 4 siblings, no one would have been able to ignore it. There was no need for this person to carry it themselves and secretly deliver it by hand. Yeah, that does sound pretty weird.
But there was a reason.
In the first place, if Beatrice existed and wanted to make her presence known to everyone, then she could have just openly presented herself to all of us. The reason is she wanted to be vague.
Yeah, spin that chessboard around, brother. Keep asking.
Despite that, she chose the vague method of appearing through a little girl called Maria-chan, and only gave us a vague impression of who she was. Contradiction.
Whoa.
Let's go a little deeper, shall we?
She's so cool.
She appeared in front of Maria, trying to give us the impression that a 19th person existed, and yet she still hasn't appeared before us and is hiding somewhere at this very moment. So Kyrie is with me that it was Kinzo in a wig.
Yeah.
Think about those contradictions. The imagery is killing me.
Whoa!
You've got to keep these things in mind when you spin the chessboard around. In short, if a person wants to leave us with the impression that Beatrice exists as the 19th person, what might their goal be? If this person wanted to hide, then they wouldn't have made their presence known. And if they wanted to show themselves, they wouldn't have used the roundabout approach of entrusting someone with a letter. Which means it's simple. Beatrice is one of the 18 people. That's why they want to create the illusion that there are more than 18 people. The 19th person was revealed so spectacularly. If someone were to profit from this, it wouldn't be some 19th person in hiding. It'd be one of the original 18 people. Of course, this reasoning is full of holes. If you turn over even a few of its premises, it'll simply fall apart. But I'm almost completely certain it's correct. This is starting to feel pretty creepy. Someone lent Maria the umbrella and handed her the letter. Supposedly, none of the 18 did this, and yet Beatrice was hidden among those 18. What was this person planning, hiding their true form and pretending to be Beatrice? I suspected it might have been Maria-chan play acting, but the contents of the message were extremely complicated, and it's hard to imagine Maria-chan writing that herself. However, I can't deny the possibility that Maria-chan is working together with someone. Wait a sec. Maria's a 9-year-old kid, right? What could she possibly be planning, and with whom? And what about her straightforward, overly honest, obedient nature? That would be crazy if this was true and it was like Maria and Rosa and the whole beating her thing was a ploy.
Oh, that would go hard, huh? Best part is Maria's actually the mastermind. She said you have to do it to sell it, otherwise it won't work.
Rosa's like, Maria, I don't want to hit you. You have to, Mom. They won't believe it unless you do.
That's just a look at me, Hector.
Make me cry.
This song we're listening to and have been listening to is called Stupefaction.
Harry Potter.
It's got that dang droning sound.
It does.
It's EP with the TR in front of it.
Yes, I also understand what kind of a person Maria-chan is. But that's exactly why I think it's possible. That girl's a dreamer who can't help but look up and blindly accept the existence of witches. So if a person appeared in front of her and claimed to be the witch Beatrice, Maria-chan would happily swallow it up, I think. So you're saying that if someone disguised themselves by wearing that fancy dress from the portrait... I'm thinking of Kenzo again. Tricking Maria wouldn't be that hard?
Now I'm thinking of Kinzo wearing all that, but he has like a parasol or something.
Yeah.
And he turns around. His face.
Of course. With that reasoning, all of us women would become the primary suspects.
I hope.
Which is why it's the perfect thing for Kenzo to do.
Anyway, who did Maria-chan encounter?
Beatrice, duh.
Learning the details of that question would be the best key to solving this riddle. But this key has been firmly locked away inside Maria-chan's heart. Something about Aesop. Everyone denied the existence of the witch without listening to her, barraging her too much with questions about who Beatrice actually was. She probably won't open her heart for the adults now. In the dim hall, in front of the portrait of Beatrice, Maria was sobbing. No one believes I met Beatrice. Even though I showed them the letter Beatrice gave, they still don't believe.
Dang. Holy moly. Commitment. True.
That was such a good bit. I'm sad that guy graduated.
True, that guy was based.
Anyway, Maria-chan's holding the key.
Why did we have that cutaway to sad Maria?
Establishing shot? Or that's not what that means at all. George, don't watch this. But bottle episode? No.
You think she'll watch this when she still hasn't watched the Fushuan episode?
No.
That's right. I'm calling you out live, Jordan. And you're not even going to know it.
But, did you see the new characters that were showcased on Honkai's official Twitter and stuff?
No.
2 new characters, Sparkle and Misha. We are going to have a conversation about Misha when this is over.
Okay.
You bringing up that VTuber reminded me of Misha.
I'm afraid.
No, well, maybe. We'll see.
The key to whether Beatrice is one of the 18 people or a 19th person. Maria's stubborn, right? When that girl gets angry, it's pretty hard to make her feel better. Badler-kun, I think a kid like you would be better at cheering her up than an adult like me. After she's feeling better, try asking. I know you don't care about all this back and forth about the inheritance, but don't you find this Western Mansion mystery situation exciting? Who in the world is this person who gave Maria-chan the letter? It makes your intellectual curiosity ache. You're actually pretty tough considering you're still excited after being dragged through that endless money talk. I thought I read it right, but in my brain I read it as money. Or not money, monkey.
Whoa, okay, you endless monkey talk. That's just Ashlyn with Left 4 Dead.
Adults can be pretty amazing. My brother in Christ, you are like, what, 1 year away from being an adult?
Or something.
I shrugged exasperatedly. But I did notice something. Kyrie noticed how dejected I was after overhearing our parents' turbulent discussion, and was probably trying to clear the air. At the very least, I'd recovered enough to voice my complaints. And she wasn't my real mother, so I never felt like calling her mom. But it did make me think, she's a real adult.
Okay. Oh, hey, Brass. So this is where you were. Kyrie, you really took your time fixing your makeup, didn't you?
She did, but she would not be pilled. She said, I'm gonna go fix my makeup, and left.
I'm gonna powder my nose. Think I'll make a habit of going out to touch up my makeup, too. Good idea, Rudolph.
I'm sorry.
What is this song again?
A woman's makeup takes a long time. So, how has the discussion been without me?
This is Moonlit Night, by the way.
I'm sure everything was all peaceful and harmonious. Bonk.
Yeah.
Kyrie-san poked the weak spot under my arm with her elbow.
How did even she get that? We decided to take a break to cool our heads a little. Looks like we'll be at it all night. Makes me wanna cry.
His way of talking hadn't changed, but he couldn't completely hide his fatigue. I couldn't say I was sympathetic, but he looked pitiful compared to his normal, energetic self.
Still, that rain's just awful. I really don't want to go back to the guest house. Looks like Nazi Nason set things up so we could spend the night here in the mansion. What'll we do? Bless you.
That.
Oh. Without the sneeze then?
We don't need to decide until you're done, right? If you run so low on energy that you can't return to our room, then we can take them up on their offer.
You're right. We can think about it later. What about you, Battler?
If I stayed, I'd just get in the way. I'll be nice and go back over there.
Let's see. Will you go back soon?
I don't know. It'd be lonely to head back by myself. I'll gather all the kids and we'll head out.
Okay. You go do that. Also, Battler, you won't be going to sleep that easily tonight, right?
Yeah, I'll probably be up talking with the cousins. Sounds like we'll be up all night. Is there a problem with that?
I see. If you're still awake when the adults' discussion is over, I want to have a little talk as a family.
A what? That doesn't sound like you. Apparently, Kyrie-san was thinking the same thing. What are you talking about? She asked him in a small voice. It looked like Kyrie-san didn't have a clue what Dad meant either.
Serious face, Rudolph. I also want to talk to you about it, Kyrie. I'll tell you later, so don't ask now. Please.
I don't know. Oh, frog in my throat.
Yeah.
I don't know anyone who neglects the concept of family as much as this old bastard. And now he's saying we're gonna have a talk as a family? Both Kyrie-san and I couldn't help but get wide-eyed.
Don't look so terrified. I'm the one who should be terrified. After all,
At that point, he swallowed his words for an instant. Even though putting on airs of importance wasn't much like my dad. You're freaking me out, Dad. Everyone in our family's gathered here now, right? Don't make a big deal out of it and spit it out.
Here we go. Tonight, I will probably be killed.
There was a huge crash of thunder. It must have been really close. Dad's expression, brightly illuminated by the lightning, was burned into my eyes. Dad's face, which always looked so sure of itself, and which always wore a taunting expression, was strangely frail in a way I couldn't really explain. It was so worn out that he looked like a different person. What? What are you talking about? That doesn't sound like you. I agree. What happened? You look so timid all of a sudden. It's not like you.
I'm gonna go fix my makeup too. Don't follow me.
Dad turned away, weakly. After that, only Kyrie and I were left, still wide-eyed.
What does he know?
What did he say? Tonight he'll be killed? You don't think that mysterious letter scared him, do you? He's been watching too many serial murder movies. Kyrie-san didn't answer my light-hearted words and continued to stare at my dad's disappearing back. Battler-kun, when you told Rudolph-san to spill the beans right away, he left without telling us anything. Even though he said he had something to say to both of us, he didn't answer you. Why? Spin the chessboard around. What do you see? Well, when he said he wanted to talk but then couldn't, that's a contradiction. What? Can you see something by looking from Dad's perspective?
Use the Force Battler.
Yes, I can see something. He wants to talk about something. However, he doesn't have the courage to bring it up. So he actually means, chase after me, talk to me, and ask me about it yourself. By saying don't follow me, he actually means the opposite. He actually means follow me and force me to answer.
Whoa, I'm starting to understand how they got together.
Yeah.
Dang.
Seriously, what a spoiled brat.
Holy moly.
What? I don't need to know about what you guys do in the bedroom. No.
True.
Can you really call that a reasoning? That's ridiculous. Can great private and police detectives deduce the emotions and feelings between men and women? They can't, right? Figuring out the feelings of the opposite sex is an even more advanced art than exposing the tricks in difficult crime cases. If you ask me, romance novels have much deeper mysteries than masterpiece mystery novels. Okay.
He's one of those people.
I see. Is that how it is? I'll stand alongside that spoiled brat. He normally loves to bluff, but tonight, he's completely tired out from that heated discussion. He probably wants someone to lean on at the moment. And responding to that need is the role of his partner. Sounds passionate. Then I'll leave that old bastard in your hands. Yes, leave it to me. I called out to Kyrie-san's departing back. Huh? What? I wanted to say thanks. Thanks to you, my gloomy mood has cleared up a lot. That's good. Communication is important. After answering with a wink, Kyrie-san followed after Dad.
Dude, I'm gonna be honest. When he like called out after her, I thought he was gonna be like, "Don't forget to use protection."
We're giving you a sibling battler. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah. Well, he's got his sister. Remember, she's just sick.
Oh yeah. I actually did forget that he had a sibling.
He has a sister that's I can't remember if that's Kyrie's daughter or another stepchild. You know, but it was mentioned way early on. Like, where's your sister?
That's right. Yeah. Dang, she got lucky. Anyways. Natsuhi could be found in a dimly lit hallway. Is this a scene I think it is?
That's what I was getting ready to ask the same thing. Is this the scene?
Now and then, the thunder would crash, but this had no effect on Natsuhi's expression. It's either the her and Kenzo, or it's the her and Jessica. I think it might be the her and Jessica.
Okay, if it's the her and Kenzo, my throat's going out again. We're 3 in a row.
The discussion that had just taken place between the relatives in the dining hall was repeating itself inside Natsuhi's mind.
Oh, dang, it's the creepy song. This is I used this in our campaign.
Beatrice had proclaimed that in addition to the gold, all of the inheritance and the property of the Ushiromiya family would be given to the person who could solve the riddle. In other words, she planned to undermine the absolute guarantee that Kraus, as the oldest brother, had to succeed the family head. Originally, the other siblings had absolutely no chance to inherit the headship. To them, this proposal by Beatrice was extremely desirable. It was obvious that they would accept it. There was no need to play some clumsy detective game. Natsuhi knew that this so-called 19th person, Beatrice, couldn't exist. Naturally, Beatrice was nothing more than a fictional character used to pass a message that Kenzo had written himself. She's me-pilled. As proof.
Honestly, Natsuhi is audience-pilled in episode 1.
Yeah. That's why I liked her so much, I think.
I think everybody. She was made to be liked in episode 1. She did a good job.
As proof, Kenzo had remained stubbornly neutral as to that letter's authenticity. He was completely ignoring these reckless claims that he shouldn't be able to ignore, that he had given up the head's ring. In short, Kenzo had wordlessly admitted that the letter held his own message. Maybe it is the Kenzo scene. Most likely one of the servants had given Maria the letter. Kenzo had probably worked out an elaborate plan where the dress from the portrait would be prepared. And someone, probably Shannon, would be made to wear it and deliver the letter and the umbrella. By doing that, he could make it seem like the witch from the portrait actually existed. No, if anything, that alone was proof that Kenzo was behind all of this. In that case, it was the same as Kenzo trying to butt in on the siblings' private discussion. But don't you have the ultimate respect for the family head, Natsuhi? Shouldn't he be allowed to determine it how he wants?
Just trying to figure it out. Why didn't he just talk to her? She
True.
would have done it.
True, she would have. Then Kenzo, by announcing that he'd give everything to the person who solved the riddle, could weaken Kraus's overwhelming advantage. You more than anyone, Natsuhi, should know that Kraus probably shouldn't inherit it. They retrieve gold. Now it was certain. Kenzo had eavesdropped on the siblings' discussion in the parlor earlier that day. So he had known how Kraus, had staved off the attack by the other three. And to make the scales of the battle go back into balance, he had sent out this strange letter, which benefited Kraus's rivals. He was trying to push this crazy theory so that Rosa, who had a weak position among the siblings because of her age, would join with Eva and Rudolph. Then, with a 3-on-1 advantage, they'd be able to overwhelm Kraus yet again
and make their ridiculous theories get accepted by force. And by doing that, he gave them the power to resettle what had once been a nearly decided conflict. They had now started repeatedly pressing Kraus to pay them a large amount of money, using the condition that all of the siblings would guarantee Kraus's position as the successor. Talk about advance payments was being brought up again, despite having been rejected once. Of course, even without the story about the hidden gold, the Ushiromiya's family store of wealth was vast. That store of wealth alone was more than enough. Even if the hidden gold was buried forever, along with Kinzo's death, there would be more than enough to satisfy. Therefore, even if they weren't interested in the gold itself, Kinzo had managed to instill the lifelong fear that, on the off chance that someone found the gold, that person would be granted the headship. And this kind of Achilles heel would definitely be taken advantage of by someone sooner or later.
Really feeling very ancient Greek pilled lately, huh?
The only person with this fatal weakness was the successor, Kraus. The other siblings had found. No, they had been told by Kinzo something that only Kraus could lose, and they had thoroughly taken advantage of that. Natsuhi, as Kraus's only ally in his painful position, and as his wife, wanted to fight alongside him. She kept trying to explain to him that the existence of the gold is itself a farce, and that there was no need for him to compromise. Kraus had always told Natsuhi. He had told all of the siblings. He always said that the hidden gold was nothing more than an illusion created by Kinzo. Therefore, Natsuhi had believed it as his wife, and had supported her husband on that foundation. Even so, Natsuhi's words didn't reach Kraus. Even though Natsuhi had fought so hard and had lent all of her strength, he continued to fight by himself and was trying to compromise with the other three siblings.
Is this the one where is this the Kraus being like, bro, check out what I got?
Yeah, maybe that's what this is. Maybe that's what we're about to get explained to us. Natsuhi sadly and weakly wondered why she could not be of use to him, and then started getting angry. It had happened when everyone decided to take a short break to cool their heads. Natsuhi had flared up against Kraus. Enraged, she had asked why she could not be useful to him. He had then told her that he wanted to talk about something, and invited her into a room that she was normally not allowed to enter. That room had been sealed with a heavy-looking padlock, and just looking at it had given her an uncomfortable feeling. Oh great, this is another me. So you had your episode a while ago. Now this is mainly my episode.
You've been talking almost every line this whole episode.
Yeah. There is no need for you to worry about anything by those three, or even the suspicious person who calls herself Beatrice. After all, the gold is just a ruse, created by Father. There's no way something like that could be found. Your position as a successor is a solid fact. What are you afraid of? Kraus removed the padlock on the door. He then motioned for Natsuhi to enter.
Enter.
What is this?
There's something I wanted you to see. I've never shown you this before.
Natsuhi timidly opened the door with a dubious expression on her face. It was pitch black. She searched for a switch to turn on the lights, but since this was her first time in the room, she didn't know where it was. Kraus entered behind her, pushing her in, and when he closed the door before turning on the lights, the two were swallowed up by the darkness. Only the sound of Kraus locking the door rang out through the dark. What are you doing? The lights.
I'm turning them on now. Wait.
Just as he said, when Kraus pushed a switch on the wall, a flickering light turned on and lit up the room.
that is...
Natsuhi had her breath taken away. The room had no windows, and at a glance, it appeared to be empty. In the middle of the room, a small round table had been set, and the lights brightened only that table, as if it were the leading part in a play.
Y'all ready for this, audience? You ain't ready for this.
On top of the table, a red tablecloth of elaborate design had been set out, covered with dust. And on top of that, something about the size of a grown man's arm had been set down.
That's a weird way to put it, but accurate.
That something took Natsuhi's breath away. Vine boom sound effect.
It is a gold ingot of incredible purity. Without this, no one would have believed in the legend of the gold.
It was an ingot of solid gold. Even in the faint light, it sparkled with a noble and dignified glint.
This is not a proper ingot. I don't even know whether it was cast inside or outside the country.
It took a high level of skill to make the purest of solid gold ingots. And in order to verify that purity, it was standard to have the original foundry and the name of the bank that guaranteed it imprinted on the gold. However, this ingot did not have that kind of seal. This mysterious gold bar had come from an unknown foundry.
Look here. There's nothing to be afraid of. It's just a bar of gold.
Natsuhi, following Kraus's words, timidly approached the ingot.
Right there.
Kraus pointed at the surface of the ingot. Natsuhi concentrated on that section. Right there was the thin imprint of the one-winged eagle crest. Did you not notice that before now? It's pretty prominent.
Taking it back by the 99.99.
Natsuhi's breath was taken away once again.
She's gonna die. She's gonna have no breath left.
That's right. This is the legendary ingot that Father said he received from the witch, that the president of Marusu witnessed, and was allowed to select at random to take back with him, that gained the trust of the fixers in the business world. I had to use all possible means to find it. I found it before the other siblings could.
How could... Then... the legend of Father's gold is...
It actually exists. The gold that Ushiromiya Kenzo received from Beatrice actually exists.
For the audience.
Impossible. So... it really does exist.
For any of you doubters out there, they were like, I bet it's not even real.
Natsuhi was shocked. Kraus had always said that Kenzo's gold was just a fabrication, so she had believed it as his wife. However, the reality was different. Since he held definite proof, he had been more certain of any of the other siblings that the legend of the gold was true. Because of this, Kraus was deeply frightened at the possibility that someone other than himself would find the gold he'd failed to find, costing him everything. But to Natsuhi, this truth was more than enough to split open her heart. She had thought that, as Kraus's wife, she should be his closest confidant, which was why she had selflessly supported him. And yet, he had hid this fact from her until today. Why? Nande? Have I been so undeserving of your trust?
That has never been my intention. There was simply no need to tell you.
She was more of a pet to me. Omni-Man moment.
Omni-Man, but stupid.
Yeah, true. They retrieve planets.
Is that all a wife means to you?
calm down. Becoming passionate easily is one of your bad habits. That is not what you tell a woman in that moment, bro. That is not what you tell a woman. Oh, boy. That's exactly what I expected to happen.
You're the one who's making me like that, aren't you?
Look at those 3 exclamation points.
I've been supporting you as a wife ever since I married into this family. For your sake, I threw away the family I was born into. And I've been offering up my heart and body to serve you. And in return, this is what I get? How could you?
Kraus grimaced, looking annoyed. His expression effectively communicated how much he disliked this part of Natsuhi, even if he didn't say it out loud. I could treat her better. Give her to me, I'll take her. It doesn't look like I will be of any use to you anymore.
I have a headache. I'm going to bed.
That's fine. I can resolve the troubles with the siblings by myself. I don't need your help.
That's wrong. This is the Ushiromiya family's problem. It's true that I am not permitted to wear the family crest on my body, but I am still your wife. Even so, are you saying I'm not capable of helping you? Are you?
I especially wouldn't want to risk getting you involved. It would probably make your headaches even worse than they are now.
This kind of makes me think of Dale Gribble and Nancy Hicks with her headaches. It's just he's not cheating on him.
Take a rest for today. The siblings will deal with the siblings' problems. It has nothing to do with you. That is all.
Also, as the door's closing, that song we were listening to that whole segment was called Witch in Gold. I think we had heard it previously, but...
Oh, now this might be the Jessica moment right after that happens.
How many Natsuhi scenes are back to back to back here?
A dull headache tormented Natsuhi. No matter what medicine she took, no matter what secret she burned, it wouldn't heal.
Secrets.
Oh, sorry. I'm secret and mystery pilled right now. We're getting into it. We're like diving into the meat right now.
He doesn't burn secrets, not till episode like 5.
No matter what medicine she took, no matter what scent she burned, it wouldn't heal. In fact, simply wandering alone through the dark corridors and listening to the sound of the rain seemed to be a better cure. I may be Natsuhi, but I was never Ushiromiya Natsuhi.
That's deep.
I have been despised and treated as a borrowed womb and insulted when I couldn't even fill that role. Even so, I have tried to properly perform my duties as a wife. But now, even my husband has rejected me. I've done my best raising my daughter, as if it were the last job left to me. However, I've had no release for my anger and sadness, and they've caused me to subconsciously strain that relationship too. Because I've been excessively strict in Jessica's education, she dislikes me thoroughly. She despises me for having no interest in anything but grades. There is no longer anything I can do for the Ushiromiya family.
Or Natsuhi.
No. That's no good. Despite it all, I must help my husband and beat back the schemes of the other greedy siblings. The family head won't be around much longer. Eventually, Kraus will succeed the head, and the next successor will be Jessica.
Strictly speaking, the man who enters the family by marrying Jessica will become the next head. But it all comes to the same thing. I have to make Jessica an excellent successor, whom everyone will accept as worthy to take over the Ushiromiya family. In the days to come, that greedy Ushiromiya Eva will probably be plotting to find some fault with the main family. And if all goes as she plans, Jessica will be dragged down from the succession with George set up in her place. It is regrettable, but George is a man, and even more has matured as a person. Compared to Jessica, who is right in the middle of her rebellious period and whose grades are slightly below average, it can be seen at a glance who is more fit to succeed the head. So in order to secure Jessica's position, I need to turn her into an excellent person. After doing that, I want to find her an excellent husband, worthy of the excellent person she will have become. A wonderful man who will truly accept Jessica and stay with her through all of life's joys and sorrows. Was Natsuhi trying to entrust her daughter with fulfilling some desire of her own? Natsuhi thought back to the days when she'd had no choice but to marry into the Ushiromiya family because of that unavoidable fate. She had tried to block that from her memory. She had consciously forgotten it, and had actively attended to the life she'd been given to as Ushiromiya Natsuhi. And in doing so, she had built up a new life. But, just now, it felt like all of that had been casually rejected. How should I think as I live my life? I do not know. Natsuhi helplessly rested her head against the glass of the window. The glass, which was cool thanks to the raindrops beating against it, felt somehow refreshing. Even though it should have been emotionless. Right then, it seemed like the only thing that could understand Natsuhi. At that point, even if someone had appeared, Natsuhi didn't intend to pay any attention to them. But she did pay attention.
I gotta stop for a second.
What?
I actually choked up a little bit. Wait. Because it was her beloved daughter.
I don't know this song yet. I gotta go actually look it up. I haven't been checking.
Oh.
I know this one.
It's you, Mom.
Rose.
What the heck are you doing in a place like this? Thought you were a ghost.
Just like always, her words were rough, and not at all like a girl's. Instinctively, words of rebuke rose to Natsuhi's throat. However, their strength gave out, and they didn't escape her lips.
Jessica, forgive me, but my headache is awful. Please, leave me be. I see.
Jessica was seeing her mother in a position of feebleness for the first time. She was considerably disconcerted. Until just now, she'd been filled with contempt for all of the parents, including her mother. But now, those feelings had been completely swept away. Her mother's utterly exhausted face had wiped them all out. In its place, the words George had told her floated back up in her mind. Our parents are doing their best in their own way. And because their families are counting on them, they can't afford to keep everything pleasant and have a heavy responsibility to fight. Maybe her mother had been standing around in this dimly lit hallway because no one had tried to understand that in her. Jessica hated her mother. So she had no intention of speaking kindly to Natsuhi just because she was looking a bit frail. So when she attempted to speak kindly to her mother anyway,
She had to clench her fists and gather up the words from deep in her heart. It sounds like you've really got your hands full with that meeting thing. It has nothing to do with you. Please go somewhere else. Is your headache bad? Should I go get some medicine? You don't have to trouble yourself. Please, leave me alone. Natsuhi wasn't being cold. She just wanted her daughter to go far away so that she wouldn't have to bump against Natsuhi's own short temper. But there was no chance that Jessica would realize this. Okay. Jessica hung her head, looking sad. Seeing that expression, Natsuhi recognized the kindness that Jessica was trying to muster. She gave her head a small shake to drive away her own unkind feelings. Then I'll leave. I'll be with the other cousins, so I don't get in the way of the adults. See you later. Wait there. She called Jessica.
Natsuhi's smiling.
She never smiles. She called Jessica, who was trying to leave and looked lonely, to a stop. What? Thank you for being so considerate. It isn't good of me to go to sleep and leave you alone. Don't talk like that. You'll bring bad luck. I've made you worried, but I'm okay now. I will go. If I let my daughter see me this feeble any longer, I'll only make her feel more uneasy. With that thought in mind, Natsuhi left Jessica with words of gratitude and made to depart. This time, Jessica called out to her mother's back. Natsuhi stopped and turned around, asking what business Jessica had with her. But Jessica herself didn't know why she'd stopped her mother. And for a while, she smiled wryly, muttering to herself as she hesitated over what to say.
That's probably my least favorite word in the English dictionary.
Riley?
Yeah. Nothing against all Rileys out there. It's just the way that one in particular is spelled. I don't like Y-L-Y. That's just awful.
Lily. She was poking around in her pocket when her hand touched something, and she took it out.
Ooh, important lore. I forgot about this.
Hey, Mom. I, was given a charm today. What was it? A charm against magic? I'm pretty sure that you were supposed to hang it from your doorknob, I think.
That's to keep magic from coming in.
I forget. There's no point in me having it, so I'll let you take it. It was the scorpion charm that Maria had given her on the beach. Although she'd heard of its various effects from Maria, Jessica's mind had gone blank, and she was just barely able to say even that much. Jessica, thinking that her mother probably wouldn't accept it anyway, immediately drew back the hand she had stuck out, grasping the charm. So when Natsuhi came back to take it, she was extremely shocked. What is this? Some kind of prize toy? Well, I think it's something like that. I guess you wouldn't really expect a charm that looks like a toy to do anything. But her mother took the charm from where she grasped it in her hand. Thank you. I'll take good care of it. Sometime soon, in exchange, why don't I give you a charm that was important to me when I was a child? It's not like that's why I gave it to you. But, well, if you really say so, then I will rest for now. My headache is awful. Try not to stay up too late. Sure. Natsuhi put the charm in her pocket and turned away. She then disappeared into the dark hall.
Bye, Natsuhi. Are we done? 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 Dang it. I just want this day to be over, man. I want us to get to the end of this freaking day. It'll take us forever and a half to get to the next, like, the important thing on the next day.
Yeah, it would be nice to start it on that day, though. Yeah, the next stream.
I would like to start the next day, if nothing else. But anyway. It seems the weather will be like this all day tomorrow after all.
Dang. This makes the good weather we had earlier feel like a lie. George, Aniki, and I were killing time in front of the parlor television. At that point, Jessica returned. We're getting close, because I think all the all of the cousins are about to go back over.
Yeah.
Her face was still blank, but it looked like she'd calmed down a little since we'd last seen her. Is Maria still in front of the portrait? Nope.
Oh, okay.
She just came back, and she's sleeping over there on the sofa.
Thank goodness.
It's getting pretty late for her after all.
Anytime she's in a scene, it automatically gets like 15 pages longer.
Looking at the clock, I saw it was a little past 10 p.m. Even if we were planning to stay up all night, it was about time to head back to our room.
No, it's 5:32.
Well, my mom did have a room prepared for us in the mansion. What'll we do?
I'd rather head back to the guest house. Going by what we saw of our parents, I think it'd be better if we weren't in the mansion.
I agree. Feels like they're telling us kids to mind our own business and stay out of their way. Let's be good little boys and girls and do that. As we were talking about this, Aunt Rosa came into the parlor. She was looking all over restlessly, probably trying to find Maria. Aunt Rosa, if you're looking for Maria, she's over there on the sofa.
Thank you. My, she's out cold. We must move her to her bed.
Rosa's pretty cheery, despite the situation.
Yeah, I have no idea why. If you'd like, I'll carry her over to her bed. Thanks, that'll be wonderful. Are you all heading back to the guest house? Or are you going to stay in the room Natsu-ne-san had prepared here?
We were just talking about that. We'd just decided to head over to the guest house.
I see. Then could I ask you to take Maria with you? I'd feel much more reassured if she stays with all of you cousins.
Behind those words, she seemed to be concealing some regret that the adults, herself included, had deeply hurt Maria's feelings. Leave it to us, Aunt Rosa. After all, we do have an expert at comforting Maria with us.
Are you talking about me? It goes from the abashed face to the smile immediately. Bee-boo-ah face.
Yeah, I was about to say, it's like Bee-boo.
I couldn't do it myself. We'll need everyone together.
That's right. Badler, weren't you the one who hit it off with Maria when you were messing around earlier?
Bro, straight up, the siblings be like the hit HBO Max show Succession, and the cousins are like the Wonder Pets.
As we said this, Aunt Rosa smiled, looking truly happy.
Thank you, everyone. It looks like our meeting will last until very late. So while I'm sorry to burden you like this, I'll be counting on you all to take care of Maria.
Hey, Maria, are you sound asleep?
No.
We're going back to the guest house. Maria muttered something indistinct, rolled over, and fell back asleep.
It looked like she was sleeping deeply. She's really out cold. I'd hate to wake her.
I'll carry her.
Maria's body was much lighter than it looked. Oh, yeah, I'm still Battler. I lifted her up and put her on George Eniki's back. It was raining hard outside, and Eniki couldn't hold an umbrella and carry Maria at the same time. It looked like Aunt Rosa would come with us as far as the guest house to help out. However, when she heard Uncle Krause's voice call out to her, she had no choice but to return.
Now that's a problem. I have to go back now. Is everyone returning to the guest house?
After we left the hall on the way to the entrance, the door to the servant room opened and Shannon-chan stepped out.
It has grown very dark, so allow me to guide you. That would be great, Shannon-chan. George-kun is going to carry Maria there. Could you hold an umbrella for him? Ooh, they're gonna be under the umbrella together in Japan, and that's like hot in Japan or something like that.
Sex!
Yeah. Yes, certainly.
Shannon-chan brought umbrellas for each of us and a flashlight to guide the way.
Y'all didn't even invest in like a street lamp. Holy moly.
As we opened the front door, the downpour was quite terrific. It looked like we wouldn't have any spare time to take a pleasant walk and enjoy the nighttime rose garden. Brother, I don't think the rose garden's really pleasant right now.
True.
Aniki, is she too heavy? Want me to carry her?
It's okay. I can at least carry Maria-chan. I'm truly grateful. Please take care of Maria.
Sure, you got it. Then I guess this is good night, Aunt Rosa.
Then I will see them over there and return here. She would not be that loud.
What?
Yeah. Yes, please.
Aunt Rosa watched us leave.
Maria. I'm sorry for everything.
Rosa's mumbling voice didn't reach the person in question, nor any of the kids, but disappeared beneath the sound of the rain.
Okay, we're just running by here.
Slideshow.
Yep.
After cutting through the rainy rose garden, we arrived at the guest house. If only I had applied for the position of Maria Carrier.
What?
Then I would have gotten a chance to have Shannon-chan's huge boobs rubbing all over my arm.
Almost forgot what we were reading. That's not why I did it. It's a misunderstanding. It's slanderous
R18
and
Wonder
libel.
Pets.
More like PG-13.
Yeah, PG-13, yeah.
I thought that if I didn't walk like this, George Summer would get all wet.
Come on, quit babbling and go in. After being urged on by Jessica, we folded up our umbrellas and went into the guest house.
Has anyone gotten their clothes wet? Probably.
Oh, you disappeared again. You're like in a can.
Yeah.
Okay, you're good.
Oh. I ain't rereading it. She's bringing towels if you want.
Okay. You don't need to worry about us that much. Thanks, Shannon-chan. You would think they would probably have towels here.
No. Unsightly. Unpleasant to the eye. Even though they have baths here. They have baths. Yeah, okay. That's right. We were planning to play cards or something. Would you care to join us for a bit?
Who had the night shift on today's schedule?
Me. I believe we had a special schedule during the family conference. Also, I think a few alterations have been made, so I will go and check.
Wait, if you have to go all the way back to the mansion to find out, don't force yourself.
Oh, that's all right. I can find out from the servant room in the guest house. So you got that, but not towels?
Yep.
Please excuse me for a short while.
Shannon-chan gave a quick bow and went into the guest house servant room. The rest of us headed for the cousin's room and decided to put Maria to bed for the time being. Maria was sleeping very deeply, and there was absolutely no sign of her eyes opening. For now, we'd get some soft drinks out of the room's refrigerator and drink those while playing cards or something. I thought he said drink the whole, and I was like, what kind of Middle English?
I bet they're gonna play. What's that game they love to play? Old Maid.
Old Maid.
Yeah. Oh. Here we go. You're here too, Genji-sama. Oh, thank goodness. Break. What has happened with tonight's shift? Kraus-sama has given an order. He made some sizable changes to the shift schedule.
Indeed. Gohda-san has the night shift at the mansion. Shannon and Cannon have been given the night shift in the guest house. Kumasawa-san and I have been ordered to sleep in the guest house. Just now, a phone call came, saying that once you arrived, you were also to remain here for the rest of the night.
Huh? Certainly is a sizable change. The shifts at the guest house and the mansion have been completely reversed, haven't they?
Originally, Shannon and Cannon had been assigned the night shift in the mansion, while the night shift in the guest house, where all of the relatives were staying, had been assigned to Gohda, who had an abundance of experience in entertaining. Kumasawa should have been sleeping at the guest house, while Genji should have been sleeping in the mansion. However, it seemed that Kraus had suddenly ordered that the schedule be modified. The shifts at the guest house and the mansion had all been reversed, and Genji was spending the night in the guest house.
He should play cards with them, I think. It's probably because of Beatrice-sama's letter. Why probably? After such a mysterious letter appeared, it was only natural that Kraus-sama would suspect one of us. We serve directly under the master, so Kraus-sama tried as best he could to keep us far away from the family conference. That's the most you've spoken in your entire life.
Genji, Shannon, and Cannon were all permitted to wear the Ushiromiya family crest, the one-winged eagle, as the servants who served directly under Kenzo. Of course, since they were working for the Ushiromiya family, they had to obey anyone's orders, but their only boss was Kenzo. Since only Kenzo held the right to employ them, even Kraus could not have them dismissed of his own accord. Because of this, Kraus and the others often viewed these servants as Kenzo's underlings and shunned them. And in fact, Kenzo seldom let anyone other than them enter his study. This sudden shift change was probably a clear expression of the sense of mistrust that had caused. Considering the time Kenzo had left to live, this would definitely be the last family conference before the problem of the inheritance came up. On top of that, the mysterious letter that claimed to be from Beatrice had dropped in out of the blue. Kraus definitely wanted to keep Kenzo's loyal subjects away from the table of such a delicate and important discussion.
If you would excuse me, I will go rest. If anything happens, call me immediately. Our guest tonight is a special case, after all.
Look at the bolded font. Whoa.
Do it. Do it, Anon.
Genji-sama. I have no other means to do it. If there was a way I could like project two voices at once, I would love to, but
Genji nodded back and went behind a screen, took off his jacket, and slowly began to relax after a day's worth of tension.
I think that broke my throat somehow.
The
The ones who returned now, were they the children? Yes. The other relatives are having a conference in the mansion. It looked like it would drag on for quite some time. Then we've got it easy. It's already this late, and there's this weather. The rest of the relatives will probably spend the night in their rooms in the mansion. Yes, probably. I'm only saying this because Genji-sama isn't around. But I'm a little happy I was sent to the guest house, I guess. Oh? Why's that? Because you can stay away from Madam and Eva-sama, those bullies? Or do you have another reason? It's not as though I have another reason. I see. Then let's do our best together with our night shift. I'm counting on you, Nei-san. Just now I was asked to go to the children's room and play with them.
Shannon hung her head apologetically, gazing at Cannon uncertainly. Cannon didn't try to meet her eyes and spoke curtly as he sighed. It looked like he didn't plan on indulging his sister.
You can't. You were assigned to the night shift. Besides which, it isn't necessary for furniture like us to respond to an invitation to play. You understand, right? Yes, I do understand.
Shannon's shoulders drooped slightly. She had already expected that Cannon, a stickler for rules, would say something like that, but she still seemed a little discouraged. As Cannon flipped through a logbook, he spoke without facing Shannon.
That means the children will be waiting for you. You'll have to apologize and tell them you have the night shift and won't be able to stay with you. Go and come back. Yes! I'll go apologize and come back.
Shannon hurriedly stood from her seat before her brother's mood could change and flew out of the servants' room after giving a quick bow. As he watched her go, Cannon took a single deep breath. Genji's voice came from beyond the screen.
Cannon, I will be here, so you can go too.
Genji-san, Shannon was the only one called. It's not as though I was invited.
That is only because you were not there at the time. If you had been, you would have been invited as well. It is good to play as a child from time to time.
No, such a thing is not necessary for me. Human children may have a need to play, but we are furniture.
Is that so?
Nei-san is also furniture. This guy needs to make a book. Even if she pretends to be a person, it will only hurt her later. I understand that, so I try not to get too close to people. That's all.
Genji did not say anything after that. After a while, he stood up and used a pot of hot water to make powdered cocoa, serving some to Cannon as well. Genji, a real one.
Yay, chalky milk time!
I know it's your favorite, Cannon.
Is that for real? I had no clue. Baka. Dumbass. You're too loud. You'll wake Maria up.
Battler was so surprised that he yelled obnoxiously and scattered his cards everywhere. His voice caused Maria to turn over once, but she soon fell back into a deep sleep. Jessica gave him a jab, and he lowered his voice. Still, seriously, now that you mention it, they really did have that kind of atmosphere, didn't they? Huh. Now I see. So George Aniki is...
Is he not in the room?
George couldn't be seen anywhere in the room.
Thanks.
There's your answer, yeah. A short while ago, when Shannon came into the room, George suddenly said that he'd forgotten something in the mansion and needed to go back and get it.
They're smooching.
Shannon said she would guide him, just like she had on her way to the guest house, and the two of them departed together.
Is that also in episode 1? That whole
That's 2, I believe.
Okay.
It's confirmed in episode 1 that they're an item, but episode 2 is like, now we're going to explain how they became an item.
Well, I mean, there's a specific scene. I couldn't remember if it's in episode 1 or not.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. I can't remember if that's episode 1 or 2 either. Okay. I think it's 2. Okay. I think it's like the very beginning. Well, there's actually been signs of it for a while now. You know, questions about hobbies and favorite things. I always thought it was a bit much for a passing interest, and look what's happened now. Come to think of it, I get the feeling George Aniki's always been overly nice to Shannon-chan. Now I get it. Maybe I shouldn't have been saying so many things about her boobs.
No, definitely keep it up, bro.
Is it? Oh no, it is in this one, I think, perhaps.
Oh, well, great. Thanks to... I'm so happy I get to...
I didn't think that it was going to be in this one because I thought that the weather kept them from going to the gazebo. Okay, one moment. I have to take a phone call. I'm getting a call from my mother.
All right. I'll be waiting here eagerly. Yep, I will discuss with the audience what's going on so far. So, what are you guys thinking about this? I mean, obviously, you know, most of what we've played so far has just been stuff that we two are aware of. Because Levi mentioned before, he's played like episode 1.5. He's played a bit of 2. So it's not been any new information for us, really. I've played all the game, so nothing's going to be really new for me. It's more like a refresher course for me, because there's... you guys might know me more and more, as you, especially if you watch the podcast. There's going to be plenty of things that I've watched and done where I just go like, oh, I forgot entirely about this whole thing. I really just kind of remember vibes, not really full events. So, yeah. I don't know if he's done yet or not. I can hear him in Discord still. I don't hear him talking anymore, unless he like left the room when he took the call. But if that's the case, I'll keep going. So, but like, you know, we're building toward, there's a few things we know, there's a few scenes we remember. I think one that we talked about earlier, I misattributed to, it's going to be tomorrow in-game, is when the other scene I was remembering is going to happen, I think. But yeah, we're getting towards, like, the halfway point of episode 1, I'd say. Yeah.
Alright, I'm back. I am unmuted and back.
Okay. I was just talking to the audience, talking about our history with this and how I think we're kind of like close to the halfway point of episode 1.
I think so.
We've done like almost all the groundwork of like who's who, what's the situation,
Yeah,
and all that stuff, and we're gonna start getting into the meat.
all right.
Anyway, I want to get to the next morning.
So do I.
So I'm gonna keep going here. Although this is gonna suck, but here we go. According to the weather report, it looks like it'll be at its worst tonight. It also seems it'll last all day tomorrow, though it should get a little better. Really? You're so smart. Then maybe the boat won't arrive until the day after tomorrow. I hope that doesn't interfere with your work on Monday. I already knew the typhoon would be coming beforehand. Just in case, I made sure I didn't have any plans for Monday, so it's okay. I may not look it, but I really am the type who can plan ahead in his schedule. Center part looking at.
George puffed out his chest, acting proud. Compared to the calm appearance George always had as the oldest cousin, he now looked amusingly like a little kid. Shannon chuckled at his abrupt contrast.
Oh, what song is this? It's no surprise you're so well prepared as someone who will bring prosperity to his company someday. Well, making a company prosper really is a tough job. Money isn't the only thing that's important. I'm trying to find this dang song. I don't know if I'm totally finding it. No, that ain't it. I learned that well when studying under my father. Making a company prosper is like owning a castle and leading your subordinates. Oh, also, I did find the song. That was fast. It's called Praise.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah. My dad really loves reading about great leaders during the warring periods of Japan. A hobby that's probably influenced by the fact that he shares Toyotomi Hideyoshi's name.
Well, there you go. You don't know who that is?
No.
He was, for, if I'm remembering correctly, this might be the wrong person. But if I'm remembering correctly, he was pretty much like the equivalent of Rome's Augustus. So there was Julius Caesar for Rome, then he got killed, and then Augustus took over right after him and was the first emperor. For the shogunate, Oda Nobunaga was pretty much like the first shogun, but he got killed. And then his right-hand guy was Hideyoshi, and he took over as like the first shogun.
Gotcha. I know Nobunaga, but that's like about it. Blame public education system for not teaching history outside of Mesopotamia.
Yeah, true.
Much of his philosophy on managing businesses comes from talking about them. Did you know? Takeda Shingen, who was feared as the leader of the strongest cavalry corps in the warring period, started out with his troops in complete disarray and didn't have the kind of strong leadership necessary to utilize them well. He's autism ranting? Is that true? That's a little unexpected. You're so smart. Here we go. Just get it to the end of the quotation here. I feel like I'm gonna read like it's a day. Oh no. Okay.
That's what I was afraid of.
Yep. In order to unite his troops, Shingen showed his excellent leadership in many ways. For example, when a soldier had succeeded well in battle, he would immediately honor them with a medal. Normally, that kind of thing was put off until after the war, and they were all awarded at once. He continued this diligently while on the field of battle, and immediately showing his appreciation for his troops' military exploits motivated them in an extremely significant fashion. Also, whenever one of his troops was brought down by an illness, he'd be the first to rush up to them and care for them, and so on.
You're so romantic, George.
Yeah, Takeda Shingen wasn't just the man who led the strongest cavalry corps in the warring period. He's still.
This is like me if I was.
Yeah, right. You don't understand, but Freddy Fazbear. He was the person who cared the most for his troops throughout the warring period. And because he was that kind of person, all of his troops went along with him.
You're so patient, Shannon.
You're so lucky, George.
The truth was, Shannon had already heard this story several years ago.
Like every day for the past few years.
But whenever a discussion of his father led to this sort of topic, George would always glow and look like he was having a great time. So Shannon just smiled without interrupting, urging him to continue.
Of course, in a capitalist world, money determines both your strength and the height of your fortifications. But you can't build up a castle or succeed in war by yourself. Such things can only be accomplished with the support of many subordinates by borrowing their strength. Handout. After understanding this, when I look at my father's back, I realize how immature I am. Look at my father's back. I can clearly see how much competition he had to overcome before building up all he has now. George-sama, you truly look up to your father.
Dang, that's kind of a sting to Ava.
Yeah.
Because she's the one who's from the Ushiromiya family, but George is like, man, my dad's great.
Yeah. I'm jealous. Urayamashi. This is what he apologizes for, by the way, not the huge rant. Sorry. That's not how I meant it.
I hate my father. No.
Yeah, I hate him. He sucks.
Oh, sorry.
I'm sorry. That's not how I meant it either.
The two of them looked awkwardly at their feet. Get a room!
I thought that said Shannon had no pants.
What is with both of us tonight? Me with the monkey? Shannon had no parents. She had been brought up in an orphanage owned by Kinzo called the Fukuin House. Under the guidance of Kinzo, their honorary director, the orphanage offered members who excelled a chance for on-the-job serving experience. If their efforts met with Kinzo's approval, they'd be able to leave the orphanage and work as servants for the Ushiromiya family. This was considered to be the highest honor for those who lived in the orphanage. Servants from the Fukuin house all took names with the character On in them while they served. So, Shannon wasn't her real name. The same went for Canon. All of the members of the Fukuin house were orphans. At least, they were all people who had been separated from their parents under special circumstances. Because of this, the orphans had been taught to think of each other as their only family. That's why it seemed so natural for both of them when Canon called Shannon his sister. And while both Shannon and Canon were working in the mansion today, there were several other servants possessing the On character in their names, such as Manon, unfortunate, and Linon, or Linen, who often worked on a rotation schedule. However, there were not many servants who stayed with the Ushiromiya family for long. It was standard for them to quit after 3 years. So you could probably say that Shannon, who had been working for 10 years, was a notable exception to the rule. What? Working as a servant for the Ushiromiya family was a heavy burden to bear, but the pay wasn't bad at all. Working for a full 3 years would earn more than what was needed to enter mainstream society.
I mean, if they're giving you room and board and money...
Yeah, that's why it's the highest honor to work for the Ushiromiya family. That was why, even though the orphans realized what a harsh task working for the Ushiromiya family was, they still hoped to be accepted. Yeah?
My name already fits the Fukuin house.
You're not allowed.
Amen.
They don't accept you if it's already like that, actually.
Fukuseton.
Maybe the fact that Shannon managed to continue working for 10 years wasn't because she had more willpower than the other servants. I don't know. She puts up with Eva, Natsuhi, and George?
True.
Maybe she'd gotten stuck working for 10 years because she didn't have the courage to say she wanted to quit. Kinzo couldn't even trust his own blood relatives, and those excellent servants sent from the Fukuin house were the only ones he could rely on. Because of that, Kinzo would sometimes allow them to wear the family crest as servants under his direct control, and have them work close to him.
You've been working here for almost 10 years now, right? You must have saved up a lot of money by now. I wonder. It's not like there's anything in particular I'd like to buy. After all, a few million yen isn't enough to live off for the rest of your life. Holy moly! He's got 10k or so in the bank or more. 10 up to 90k.
She said a few million, so...
Yeah. So, the reason you've been working all this time wasn't to hit some target sum? Yes, that's right. I have nowhere to go outside this mansion. I'm just a lonely spinstress.
It did it again. You got put in a can again.
Anyway, that's all I have to say about that. The madam does hold me sometimes, but caring for the roses and cleaning the mansion is fun. But that can't be your entire life, Shannon-chan. No. Sayo-chan.
Shannon cast her eyes downward when she heard her real name. She understood what George was trying to say and fell silent.
There's something I've learned as I continue to study, even after becoming an adult and a full-fledged member of society. He's really proud of that one, huh?
Mm-hmm.
A human's life is not... Well, that very much fits a 21, 23-year-old, whatever he was. A human's life is not as monotonous or short as we thought when we were kids.
All school-aged kids have certain fears they can't shake. They wonder whether they'll live the rest of their lives like sleepy classes after a monotonous and boring school day, spending their time in a carefree laziness without anything interesting happening until it's all over. However, life's only like that for underage students. Compared to a human's life, the time they spend as students is nothing more than a blink of the eye, a period where they break through the shells of their immaturity. The inside of the shell might be a hot, suffocating, and boring world, but the world beyond that shell is vast and filled with limitless possibilities.
So far, your life has been trapped inside the shell called Shannon. I think you're under the mistaken impression that your life will continue like this forever. That's...
Shannon couldn't deny those words. She'd been unable to harbor any clear doubts about her lifestyle, and since she'd never had any hope or goals for changing herself, she'd lazily continued living the way she always had. And if asked whether this life was satisfying, she wouldn't have been able to nod. She may have been intentionally averting her eyes from the truth. Without George's admonishments, she would have continued pretending not to notice as her real life slipped away bit by bit, neglected.
George-sama, is it wrong for me to continue living this way? I'm so dramatic. If you had a camera on me right now, I'm doing full body convulsions when I speak as her. Yeah, it is. Oh, and by the way, didn't you break one of our rules just now?
George immediately gave a strict answer, then broke out into a mischievous smile. Shannon already knew what she was being chided for, and she hung her head again, apparently embarrassed. Ew!
You guys suck. Didn't you promise not to use Sama when the two of us are alone?
Ew!
I'll tell you though, I'm very preferable to doing this than like one of us being each of these people right now. No offense, but I don't want to have that live on the air forever.
We already do it for D&D.
We do it for D&D, but I don't want my parents to be able to have access to it.
But that's special!
That's... Yeah. I couldn't obey that as a promise. But if it was an order, I would have to obey it. Why? Because I'm furniture.
Shut up!
Then it's an order. I can't.
Self-cessed?
True? Yes. Certainly. George... son?
As Shannon hung her head, her face red, she said George's name again, this time following it with son. If you didn't hear.
Yes, that's fine. Sayo-chan. Ooh, he's going a little deep on there, huh? Yeah.
George smiled at Shannon, no, Sayo, to praise her small act of bravery. This short exchange alone made it clear how far back their relationship must have stretched. For a long while, the two talked as if the weather raging about them didn't even enter their thoughts. They talked about the many memories they'd built during their relationship that no one else knew about except Jessica and now Battler. Every once in a while, a flash of lightning would attempt to interrupt them,
But this could sully neither the roses nor the time they spent blushing at each other. Is it time? Are we free? Nothing's happening. Damn it!
Ah, that was odd. I was waiting for the shattering of glass.
So was I.
That's right. I have something I wanted to show you. Oh, we're getting here. The song change is all it was. What could it be?
George, who had been speaking eloquently, suddenly started to stutter. Watching him, Shannon seemed to guess something. George timidly searched through his pocket. Something got caught in the depths of his pocket, and just like the stuttering George, it took a while to get it out.
That's funny. Oh,
It was a very small box. A small box covered in a deep blue velvet. That peculiar shape was enough to tell anyone what was resting inside. Shannon had prepared her heart somewhat, certain beforehand that this is what he'd been planning. But even so, when she actually saw it, she couldn't avoid blushing once more. George opened the small box, took something out, and held it out for Shannon to take.
I'm trying to figure out the song, and it's so weird hearing two OSTs at once that are just long notes, because it just sounds like I don't even know, man. I want you to take this. I couldn't accept something so valuable. You can't take it. No. I'm unworthy of such a thing. Sayo, this isn't a request. It's an order. He thinks he's so cool. He thinks he can take
You don't think he's cool?
No.
Oh.
Ooh. If it's an order, I cannot disobey. Yeah, that's right.
I hate that. I hate that.
Well done.
Oh,
There it is, the special art.
I don't know. How do I? That's good enough.
There is a button somewhere, like a hotkey.
I might have to, I don't wait. System? Nope, that's where I just was.
Yep.
It's not telling me. It's not telling me.
I don't know.
That's good enough. You got the whole picture of her in there with this. Just chroma key that out. Just
I'm figuring it out. Clear option hides text. You see where it says clear?
Oh,
There you go.
I thought that was gonna put us back into the game, like it cleared the menu. There you go, everyone. There's your little. We could use that for like a thumbnail or something. I don't know.
Yeah, probably.
Shannon, not wanting to show her bright red face, timidly accepted the ring from George's hand while still staring at the ground. The ring wasn't a simple accessory. It was a noble object, meant since ancient times to be offered to a special woman under special circumstances. Therefore, while George could order her to take it, he could not order anything beyond that. Anything beyond that would depend, not on an order, but on Shannon's, no, Sayo's own will.
So, from here on, I'm not ordering you anymore. Sayo, I want you to give me your answer by tomorrow, without using words. you understand? How should I? I won't order you any further, so this isn't an order. But a ring is something you put on your finger after all. If you like it, you can just put it on any finger you choose.
Thumb. Shannon had only pretended not to know. She already understood what he wanted her to do. But she was standing at a huge crossroad of her life.
That actually brings me to I figured out what the name of this song is, and the name of the song is Path.
Ah.
Look how late it's gotten. Let's call it a day. Me to the game right now.
George turned away from Shannon, acting just a bit bluntly.
I could probably order you to wear it on your left hand. You might be timid and dependent enough to actually obey that kind of an order. But I want at least this last step to be done by your own will, sire. Understand?
What are you going to do if she says no?
Go walk into the ocean, probably. Yes! So, that's my order. I want you to think about it well tonight and show me your answer tomorrow.
Shannon nodded back. Today was the culmination of their many days spent together. This moment certainly hadn't come as a surprise to Shannon.
We should be getting back to the guest house soon. If we take any longer, we'll make everyone worry about us. Oh. I'm sorry, I just remembered something I had to do in the mansion, so... I have to go back to the mansion. At a time like this? Is that true?
George stared into Shannon's face as he laughed mischievously. He definitely saw through Shannon's lie. Mischievous dog. However, when he saw how she felt, he could sort of understand that she might be so embarrassed that she'd want to be alone. So because George realized the meaning behind Shannon's lie, he accepted it. Please. 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 Dear God, please.
Just a music change. Just a music change, Goofy. See, the rain's still going.
Oh, thank God!
Oh, thank goodness. Now, is the day over? Please, let me see that clock go crazy.
No.
I hate you.
I had a function that started at 6 that I promised I would go to.
Okay. All right. Well, where even are we? Okay, whatever. We'll resume with Shannon's Kyaing next Thursday.
Yeah, next Thursday. Probably not same time, but same place.
Yeah, I will still be up here, so that shouldn't be... I'll be totally fine. It's just up to your schedule for that one.
Well, the only reason I started us at 3:30 today was because I have a little holiday get-together I'm going to with some people. I would have probably started us like around now, if not.
Yeah.
So, but thank you everyone who came to the stream today and is continuing this journey with us, and we'll have to see you next week. Let me hit that.
If you're a VOD watcher.
Yep. Or if you're a VOD watcher, and you're watching this when several episodes have come out, just go to the next one. It's right there. If you're a VOD watcher and you're watching it right now, though, you still have to wait, Stinky.
True. I'm going to say if you're a VOD watcher and you've made it this far, first off, I'm sorry and congratulations. Secondly, if you have not finished this, please participate along with us. Make your guesses about the who's, the what's, the wins, and the whys.
Yeah, true.
It will make it fun for you and us to see your responses.
Let us know in the comments below.
Is Beatrice real? Who gave Maria the umbrella and the letter? And do you like George X Shannon, or are you cringed just as much as we are?
What is Battler Coon's sister's name?
Are they cooking?
Oh, I do feel, just one more thing before we end the stream. Personally, I feel like episode 1, episode 2 a little bit as well, but I feel like episode 1 is the one that's like the most cringe inducing because it's all the grindiness of getting through the like, here's all the characters, here's how they're related to each other.
It's gotta do all the heavy lifting.
So then once you get through episode 1, that's when you can do a lot more plot stuff, and then it gets interesting with the mystery and all that.
The question arcs in general, but especially 1 and 2, have a lot of introduction stuff it has to do to lay groundwork. Because at the end of the day, this is a visual novel. It is a story. So we're not getting into the action scenes yet. But just you wait, audience, until the second half of episode 2 and 3 and 4. And I'm not even going to tell you about when we get to 5, 6, 7. You're going to lose your mind when we get there.
Holy moly.
Off the rails at 5, 6, 7, and 8.
No, it goes back to normal at 8, actually.
8's more like that's when all the sad stuff happens. That's when it goes like, I'm crying.
No, great. Well, me, who already choked up a little bit because of the relationship between Natsuhi and Jessica today, where I was like,
for a world of hurt.
They have a strained relationship, but they're still trying to love each other.
It's just like Untitled Goose Game.
All right, well, I think that's a good